Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. Droid Life Show, actually, last Droid Life Show of 2013, episode 45. Welcome in, everyone. I'm Kellen, your host. With me, Tim, Ron, Dave. Everybody say hi real quick.
How's it going, guys? Tim here.
This is Ron from the world.
Hello.
That would be Dave with the third hello there, in case you're not following along through Hangouts. But anyways, yeah, last episode of the year. We have next week off's Christmas, following week's New Year's Day, and then the week after that, CES. So, well, we'll be in the next year anyway, but we'll probably try to do a CES show, but we're probably going to take at least the next couple of weeks off. So, for joining us for episode 45, thank you. This is the end of 2013. So, before we jump into stuff, though, just a little bit of site news. If you've been hanging around the site at all this week, you probably noticed a new face around. Our new writer, Kyle Wiggers, has joined us. Part-time basis, he's a student, just like our boy Eric. Actually, they're both journalism guys, which is kind of weird and nice at the same time. But anyways, he's joined us. He's got all sorts of experience in the industry. I think his vocabulary is far greater than mine ever even came close to being. So
I keep wishing he would stop trying to show off. I'm like, what do you? I don't have to pull out the dictionary every time I read one of his posts.
He just keeps referencing objective and subjective, and you're just having to look it up every time.
I know, it's terrible. You know, actually, I've gotten really good at that now, Ron. So thanks. Cheers.
So, anyways, welcome, Kyle. If you see him, be sure to chat him up on his posts wherever. He's floating around the comments to get to know you guys. We'll have him on the show eventually. Once we come back from CES and we get back to regular shows and all that stuff, so you'll definitely meet him. But anyways, yeah, new writer, welcome him in. So what we're gonna do just to begin this show, anyways, is kind of some end of the year stuff. We're gonna do our phone of the year picks, and then we're just gonna do kind of biggest Android bust of the year, just to kind of wrap this all up. So to start it off, let's just kick off phone of the year. And I'm going to start with Tim and sort of go across the board here and let you guys tell me what your phone of the year is. Obviously, you got to back it up a little bit with why, and we can sort of discuss it all. So, Tim, you want to kick this off?
Yeah, I kind of went back and forth when you mentioned phone of the year because I didn't want it just to be based on what I thought kind of like sold really well. I mean, we all know the Galaxy S4 and the Note 3. I mean, those things always sell just fine. So I wanted it to kind of be more of a personal thing. I mean, and to me, the Moto X has got to be the phone of the year. I mean, simply because, I mean, really, to me, I keep saying it redefined what mid-range means, when it comes to cell phones. I mean, it came with the S4 Pro when while everything else was going Snapdragon 600 or S800. These are quad-core chips. The S4 Pro is only dual-core, and but still, super snappy device. I mean, they kind of brought in this whole customization aspect to devices, which we haven't really seen before in the industry. I mean, usually we're only seeing black and white phones. I was getting kind of bored. But now, I mean, there's colors. There's great stuff going on. And so Moto X, I mean, besides the camera sucking when it was first released, thankfully that got updated, and it works okay now. But, so yeah, I mean, I gotta say, Moto X, all the way, and now with wood out, although just bamboo, you're killing me. I don't even want bamboo. Everyone knows how much I wanted bamboo, but I don't want bamboo, so I can't buy it yet. It's stupid. So besides all that, yeah, my vote has got to go to the Moto X for phone of the year.
Moto X.
Yeah, and I could go on forever. Touchless control, active display. Like I could really, the list goes on. I don't want to talk for 5 minutes about the Moto X.
There's a lot to like there. Definitely lots to like there.
It feels great. Oh man, it's a good phone.
All right, Ron, what do you got?
I'm also Moto X, and reasons are similar. It was innovative. I think the big thing for me was having Moto Maker on there and just giving tons of customization options for people, and then partnering with Soul for headphones and all that. I think that's just I don't know. Every time I talk to somebody and they ask me about what Android phone they want to get, ask them what carrier they're on or whatever, but it's just the X is just it hits that sweet spot of because a lot of times people say I want a phone with a giant screen. I get that a lot. My father-in-law wants a phone with a giant screen and things like that. He had somebody show him the Note or whatever, and he was like, at that point I feel like I should just get a tablet and things like that. So every time I show somebody the Moto X, and especially if I show them customization stuff, especially if they have a favorite sports team or something like that, a lot of the colors you're able to match up pretty well. So having that option out there for people just to say like, because I think the big thing for a lot, especially for a lot of people that really really like Android, is how you can make Android your own. And the one part of that you haven't really been able to do outside of cases has been the hardware. And so having the Moto X be able to customize that, so you can really make it your own, customized to your style and what you like, I think is pretty sweet. So that's the big reason. Obviously, there's other reasons, and I wrote a giant post about it that lots of people got mad at me about. So you can read that if you want to hear more.
Yes, they did. Get a little mad at you about that. All right, so we got 2 Moto X's. Dave, you want to jump in here with your pick?
I mean, my pick would be the Moto X, but we've already heard 2, expert opinions on why it's that way. So maybe,
Moto expert opinions.
So, I'm thinking I'll pick a runner-up, for what would be the second best, and I'm going to say it's the S4 because of how big and how popular it is with Android consumers. You can't beat Samsung's marketing budget, and they get that phone into a lot of hands. I mean, the other day I saw a comment on, I don't remember where I saw it, but all I know is someone was like, it's either Samsung or iPhone. They didn't even say Android or iPhone. They said Samsung or iPhone. Yeah. And this was just a random commenter on
the interwebs.
Yeah, the interweb. So I don't know. I think they do a good job, and it's a solid phone. I had one. It was good. I do love my Moto X, though.
Galaxy S4 is a fantastic device. I mean, we all know. I mean, it sells millions upon millions upon millions. So no doubt that it's popular. I think it just, when it comes to the uninformed consumer, it's easy just to go for the S4 because it seems like everyone else has one. If it's not an iPhone, it has to be a Samsung phone.
A Galaxy.
A Galaxy? I know, just
I've got the new Galaxy.
I got the Galaxy. Okay, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah, I think the big thing too, like when you look at the phones that came out, this is me about the Moto X again, but when you look at the phones that came out last year, like it was just so obvious. Somebody just said, "Hey, I need a new phone. What should I get?" S3 was an easy option to say, "Hey, this is it's got top of the line specs. It's got great support across the board. You can get it on any carrier." And I mean, the HTC One just didn't do that this year, but I think Motorola with the Moto X, like that, changed it to where people started reconsidering, saying, "Oh, maybe don't get the S4, like as like the standard go-to phone." Like, it's actually brought in some debate, at least in terms of like recognition of devices and things like that. I think people are recognizing the Moto X a little bit and asking more questions about that, which is pretty. I don't know. I think that's interesting. It wasn't like that for a while, and now that conversation is finally starting to change.
And just so if you're wondering, we didn't tell each other what our picks were before the show at all, so it's not like we all said, "Let's do Moto X," just so in case anyone was curious.
Like it's a drug.
Yeah. So, yeah. All right, so my pick... So I was talking to Dave about this before he came on, and mine sort of changes like throughout the year what my phone is of the moment. Like I reviewed the HTC One, I wasn't a huge fan of it. And then the Galaxy S4 came out, and I just remember being so bored by the Galaxy S4 that I went back to the HTC One and bought an unlocked version. And I wrote a post about how it was my phone because it was decent price, unlocked, and all this stuff. And then the Galaxy S4 Google Play Edition came out, and I actually switched to that for quite a few months and really liked that, because it didn't have all the TouchWiz garbage on it, so I could handle it. And then the Moto X came out, obviously, and I switched to that and was like the Moto X fanboy for months and months and months. And then the Nexus 5 came out, and when I had the Moto X, I also wrote a post that said, "The Moto X is my phone until the Nexus comes out." And the Nexus 5 came out disappointed initially, and then we've got this camera update, and now it's the phone that I kind of don't put down. So I've got this Moto X like sitting on my desk because I have one of those stupid power docks that I actually was dumb enough to buy because even though they're like $40 and they do nothing but like charge your phone. And so it sits there and looks at me all day and charges and all this stuff, but yet I look over and I just continue to grab this Nexus 5. So I'm not being different just to be different, but right now, since I live kind of month by month, I would have to go Nexus 5 is my phone of the year right now because it's the phone I keep going back to, and I haven't gone back to Nexus or the Moto X like I thought. I have a G2 sitting over there that I use if I need Verizon service. Note 3 is put away in the closet. So I think I'm going to go Nexus 5 because as of right now, that's the phone that I can't seem to put down. So, yeah, phone of the year.
Speaking of, my brother finally upgraded from his Nexus S.
He did. What did he get?
He got a Nexus 5.
And what does he
And
think
is
of
he
the Nexus
staying
5?
with Sprint?
Yeah, he's still on Sprint, poor guy. But so as soon as he switched from the Nexus S to the 5, just imagine trying to text that back and forth. His service got way better. So maybe with the
Maybe
improved
that had to
radios
do
in
with
the 5.
the phone. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that was because
Yeah.
of those 3-year-old radios inside. Very interesting.
Yeah, well, he always had kind of crappy. So that he was on Sprint before, and he had crappy service with. He's always had crappy service with the S. So as soon as he switched to the 5, he's been in the same spots. He hasn't like moved or anything else like that.
Right.
Same work from 3 years ago, and it all improved from there, which is kind of interesting and cool. Yeah, it could. It's an old crappy phone, but back when he got it, it was not. So kind of interesting.
Good for him, man. Send him my congrats.
Will do.
Yeah, good for him for finally upgrading. I feel like he's been a part of the show for a long time now. Like we always get the update on if he's got a new phone or not. Like that's awesome.
That's right. Yeah, he's living the dream.
It's living the dream. Okay, so we've kind of got 3 Moto X's there, and a GS4 in there, and a Nexus 5. So I don't know, a little range there. Let's get a little wild though and go with bust because this could so for those listening, we didn't necessarily limit this to phones. We decided just whatever was Android related or that just was a giant bust this year. And Tim, you want to start again with this one?
Sure, bust of the year. I didn't have long to think about it, but in terms of phones, I didn't really think that there was like a bust of the year that kind of stuck out to me. But in overall Android devices, I'd have to give it to the NVIDIA Shield. As much as I love that device, and I do love it, like I use it all the time. But when it comes to just people actually buying it, or even when I read comments on whenever I write about it, people are just like, the Shield, like who cares? You know what I mean? No one owns this thing. I mean, $300 for essentially like an Android-powered gaming console. And in general, I would like to say that Android-powered gaming consoles like Ouya and whatever that new one was that I wrote up. I mean, they're all busts.
Well, Mad Cats and Game
Mad
Stick
Cats,
and
all
there's
that.
so many of them.
All that stuff. I mean, and Mad Cats was like $250. I mean, talk about like overpriced. I just to have something where you can play your Android games on your HD TV, I don't think it's worth it to me. I mean, if anything, NVIDIA at least kind of gives you value, for that money you're buying. You can stream your PC games and all that, as long as you have a GeForce GTX powered desktop, then you're fine. But I just want to say Shield because they hyped it up. We hyped it up because I was excited about it. I mean, it was exciting because it was kind of inventing what Android gaming could be. Great controller, all that, but
it was at CES. They had a big demo. Dennis Rodman was there.
Yeah, I was all hyped up. I was jacked up on like being a geek guy and Dennis Rodman and smoking cigars, and then no one bought it. No one cares. And that upsets me, so I'm going to have to give the NVIDIA Shield my bust of the year. Sorry, boys.
So just to add to that, like when they announced that at CES last year, all the press, we all freaked out. We all said this is the coolest thing. We were wowed by the demo. You can see don't listen to the press half the time. We were so excited. And it was the only thing really at CES to talk about, which I think is partly why we were so excited. But I just remember writing a post about it. And if you took to the comments on any of them, everyone just went, this thing is stupid. I don't want this. It's going to be overpriced. I don't want anything to do with this. And yet we were super excited about it still. And, it turned out to be it was delayed, I think, for months. And then they had manufacturing issues, I think. I don't know. There was all kinds of issues.
Don't believe the hype. That's kind of like what I learned from that. I mean, as much as I personally would want to get excited about the device, I know that there's probably no one going to feel the same way as I do about anything. So I'm just not going to get excited for anything anymore, and that will be fine.
I did pick one up, though, and I do like using it. It's actually fun to use. But yeah,
there's great really games expensive on there. Yeah, like Dead Trigger 2, and I got to disclose, I was given mine from NVIDIA. So I didn't have to pay $350 or $300 for it, so I don't have to feel the pain or buyer's remorse.
Right.
But because just Dead Trigger 2 is not worth the price tag. And Need for Speed. It's just not worth it. So bust of the year. Sorry.
All right. Well, I also have to agree with you on the consoles. I'm so sick of writing about Android-powered terrible consoles. I have an Ouya. I picked one up for the site, just to like turn it on, see what it was all about. I fired it up once. I think I put some emulators on there because all the other games were terrible, and played it one time, and that was it. It sits upstairs in my like workout room, and I don't ever touch the damn thing. So, anyways.
Yeah.
All right, Ron, what do you got?
So I think the best of the year was the HTC One. So I have a handful of reasons, and I'm specifying the One. I think you can make a pretty good argument for the One Max, the One Mini too, but I'll stick with the One.
Anything HTC?
One Max doesn't count because no one has.
Well,
that
can we
thing.
limit it to HTC's marketing campaign with Robert Downey Jr.?
We could, but I think the problems like stem from the device itself. Not,
No, I know.
you know, marketing's
No,
not
I'm
helping either.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
That campaign. And what even happened to that? Does anything happen?
I don't know.
So let's start with the name. Name sucks, right? Previous year you've got HTC One X, and then this year you've got the One. Not a great name. Although I left a comment earlier. I think the HTC One Up would be a great last device for them for next year. So hoping that happens.
RDJ could market the hell out of that.
Yeah. So name was terrible. Camera was debatable. They made a big, huge, deal about how it's fewer megapixels, but the sensor is larger. Blah blah blah. They made a big deal about this. Every time it's been, there's been any camera test between the S4 or the iPhone 5 at the time when they were reviewing it and everything else like that. Whenever the comparisons would come out, it was negligible at most. You get some better low light, but there's also still a lot of noise in the shots and most of HTC's cameras this year also because they're trying to adjust for low light. If there's any light in the shot, that means it's all washed out because of that light. Every single one of HTC phones has had that issue, including their Windows phones ones. So just weird camera stuff. Minor software improvements, and a lot of which didn't change the game and didn't make the software a lot better, or at least compelling compared to other versions of Android that are out there. Zoe, what happened to that? Nobody's using it. It came out when Vine was big, which for some people I'm sure Vine is still really big, but like that in theory should have been a compelling feature for people to say like, oh yeah, get the One, you can use Zoe. It's a really cool way to share video, and nothing happened. Didn't launch on all carriers. That was something we talked about a lot. HTC should have learned from that from the previous year. They had lots of issues with the One X getting out on all carriers the previous year. It got stuck in customs, all sorts of things. They should have learned their lesson. Still didn't learn their lesson. Still, didn't get it out on all carriers. So those are just like this. After the One X and after it didn't do well and after it had all those issues, everybody was looking at the One to do really well, and it got reviewed very well. And a lot of people were talking about how maybe we've got somebody finally competing with Samsung, but it just didn't happen. And I think the big thing is that when they came out the One, the hardware was always consistently praised, but there wasn't anything compelling about the software. And that's where most people are looking, especially when you're in the store. You can barely appreciate the hardware with all the crap that they've got sticking on the phones. So it's all about the software highlighting that, and they just didn't have anything compelling. They didn't have anything that said, hey, this is why you should get the One versus any other Android phone. So I think that's the biggest bust, and honestly like the biggest disappointment, because I love HTC. I love their design. I love all the work that they've done. They made Windows Mobile usable. Like, they're a great company. They do good stuff, but I think they're going to die.
That was another one of those. HTC One's another one of those darling devices of the media. Everyone that reviewed it. Well, I didn't really love the phone initially. Most people that reviewed it said this is the best Android phone ever. Is what most people said. You could type in best Android phone ever, and you'll see HTC One probably come up all over the place. People, for the most part, at least the media loved that thing. And again, it didn't translate to sales. No one bought it, and then the camera didn't turn out to be that awesome. They went through this. When we went to the press event, I just remember them tossing out Zoes and highlights and blink feed, and they tried
had the weird acrobatic gymnastics things going on.
And they boom sound. They tried to create a marketing term for every single thing they did on the phone. I don't know if that was to copy Samsung, where they were going with that, but that didn't work because they weren't able to sell the features in it, and they did actually some pretty cool stuff. Like boom sound is still really nice. The Zoe's feature is actually pretty cool if you use it. The highlights, the videos, things it did were cool. But yeah, the camera was essentially a glorified 4-megapixel camera that you could take low light pictures with. I would argue that the front camera on the one is better than the back because it's wide angle.
Yeah, and that's actually something they did that on the 8X as well.
Yeah.
And that's actually something that's pretty compelling. It'd be and it'd be cool if we've seen Oppo trying to do that now with what is it? They call it N1 or whatever, where you can flip the camera around.
Yeah.
I think that is an important thing, like the front-facing camera, especially in this age of multiple selfies by people like every day. So that's a compelling thing.
Selfie's what, the word of the year or something like that, and yet HTC did never once that I can remember was marketing the actually really good front-facing camera on the phone, which probably would help at this point. I don't know.
And that is a big, like last night I went out with my wife's family. We were out looking at Mission Inn out in Riverside. We were looking at the lights out there, and so we wanted to take lots of pictures. And it's just like you don't want to hand a stranger your $600 piece of equipment to take a photo. Like it's just much easier just to use the front-facing camera so you can line up the shot and everything else like that. So having a really nice front-facing camera should be a big selling feature. That's something big. There's so many ways that they could have marketed the phone in a compelling way with or without Robert Downey Jr. and they just didn't do it.
Or rear-facing bands in garages or whatever that ad was.
Yeah.
It was a rough year for HTC. I would have to agree. The one is definitely up there. Bust of the year. Woof. Dave, what do you got?
I'm going to go with the Moto X as also a bust of the year. My reasoning behind that would be the fact that it's not a global launch. You can't get the Moto X elsewhere. Moto Maker was exclusive, to AT&T for far too long. If you were on a different carrier, you had to wait, and at that point, you don't want to keep waiting. I think also it was a bust because people were expecting the price to be a lot lower, and it didn't come that way, and that might have deterred a lot of people from purchasing the device based on the specs that were in it. We know that it's got lower specs than any of the other flagships, but at the same time, it's proven, that it can handle that. But I do think just on the paper, stats on paper, people were like, I'm going to steer clear. We saw a lot of 1080p screens. It didn't have that. So I think it was a bust just because there was a lot of expectations. Motorola was purchased by Google, and people thought that we were going to finally see, some magical unicorn phone. And, we got the Moto X, which is a good phone, and as we agreed, it is the phone of the year. But at the same time, it's also a bust because I don't think it sold to the capacity it should have.
Yeah, I mean that was on my short list, was Moto X actually. As much as I love the phone, I mean that and the Nexus 5 to me are the phones of the year. But what did the Wall Street Journal said? 500,000 units sold in the entire third quarter. It's tough to compare that to what Samsung's doing because all of their phones are global launches, but Samsung sold the Note 3, which isn't even their number one seller, sold 10 million of those in 2 months. Again, that's globally, but that's not even their number one phone. They sold 10 million of those in just a couple of months. So Moto X didn't sell well. It's only a U.S. phone, so maybe that had something to do with it. They cut the price on it immediately. I don't know if you guys remember that. It was $199, and then within a month or so, slashed it to $99, and then they started slashing off the full retail. It's still pretty cheap, and then they obviously were able to do that massive Cyber Monday thing that failed, and then they redid it. But they were selling at Nexus 5 prices. So, and then the wood was delayed. The wood was like one of the coolest things during the announcement, and all we got was one. We got bamboo only, and it just now got here. And I think I went into Moto Maker today and put bamboo on there because I needed a screenshot or something. And it said it's like 20 days or something at least now for those to be delivered. If you got the phone orders in yesterday when it went live, they're shipping early enough. But if you do it now, it's like 20 days or something crazy. So.
Yikes.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I love the Moto X, Dave, I have to agree that's definitely up there as well.
It had its problems, sure, but what phone doesn't? Besides.
There's still no perfect phone, right? We're
Not
in 2013, and there's still no perfect phone.
I would have said that the Moto X was it, if we took away, some of the problems that were on it, like the camera and stuff, but I just thought it was it's so far the best Android experience I've ever had, and that's what I'm constantly searching for, is that ultimate experience with a mobile phone. And I've gotten as close as I can to a perfect experience with the Moto X. I mean, active display. I mean, it always like pops on whenever exactly I want it to, and it's just great.
I do think that's the one thing that, Motorola needs to pass to Google and that needs to get in there.
Oh, it's gotta.
I mean, I know there's an issue with screens that aren't AMOLED, but
What's your daily phone, Dave?
the X.
Okay, I was just checking.
I have every phone minus the one that came out this year, and that's the one I'm sticking with.
Yeah. So I ordered a bamboo version, and when that comes in, that's obviously going to be probably back to my daily driver. I'll probably put the Nexus 5 back down because it really is that good. And I still, even though I just called the Nexus 5 my phone of the year for now, still when I pull it out of my pocket, I miss active display and all that stuff.
Well, you can't deny the power of the 5, and it's probably the best Nexus device we've had so far.
It's the phone I use daily. I mean, 1080p, Snapdragon 800 is a gorgeous device. Don't get me wrong. I love looking at it still to this day. I think it's just great to look at. I just love feeling it. I mean, I haven't felt this way about a phone in terms of looks and feeling it since the 1X. And yeah, so in terms of, I mean, they're kind of tied for me, but Moto X definitely just kind of evolved my love for Android even further. Like each year it grows a little bit, but the Moto X was like a serious like stepping stone in my love for this mobile OS and the devices that run it. So
I do think it was a good year for Android in general. Majority of the devices that came out were, if that's what you wanted and you bought it, you were not, kind of screwed like you might have been in years past if you, bought a device that wasn't going to be supported. We've seen a lot more support for devices this year from the manufacturers.
Yeah.
So I just think the Android situation on whole in 2013 was a lot better than previous years.
Definitely.
It was a heck of a year. All right, so my bust, it just seems like there's so many now that I'm thinking about it. Like Google I/O was kind of a bust this year.
What? A bust? What are you talking about?
What about the Galaxy S4 Broadway spectacle? That thing was, that was terrible. I think I'm going anything Google Play Edition, or just the Google Play Edition in general. We talked about this on our last show. What's the point of the Google Play Edition? And we thought, and Eric brought up the point that we finally got these other phones, from manufacturers, which top of line hardware, but yet we got stock Android, which is what we always wanted. And yes, we got that, but we also got the ridiculously high full retail price for them. Which is, the full retail price you would pay at a carrier, which we know is higher than it really needs to be. And I know companies need to make money. But these phones also aren't being marketed, so there's probably no one even thinks about making money with them. Yes, they run stock Android, but look at the Z Ultra. It was released, and it seems almost like it was released without anyone actually considering what needed to be done there. It had all sorts of bugs. They had to issue an update already to fix all sorts of critical issues. I don't think anyone's buying these devices, and that's, again, because we don't exactly know why they exist. I think they're this tiny little group of people that want them, and maybe that's the whole point. I'm sorry, they're still probably my bust of the year, even though I used one for a long time. I used Galaxy S4 GPE for a while. I don't know. It's just they just don't really serve a purpose other than for Google to, I don't know. It was their thing at I/O. That was the one highlight at I/O was Hugo Barra going, "Look at this! It's a Galaxy S4 running stock Android," and everyone went, "Yay!" And then he said it was $650, and everyone went, "What?" And then the HTC tried to join the party because they thought it would save them, and they threw the one in, and I don't know. Google Play Edition, it doesn't really need to exist. I don't think. I'm sorry.
Yeah, definitely. I would kind of tend to agree. I mean, it's cool for developers, who get to have their hands on additional hardware that's running stock Android to develop for those phones and all that stuff. So, I mean, over since the course of the time where we had that argument, why do they exist? I mean, sure, it makes sense, but not for your average everyday consumer. I mean, that's pretty simple, right?
And the other side of that, too, is if you're getting that phone to develop on there, having it unlocked or whatever is nice, but really if you're designing an app specifically for those kind of phones, it makes more sense for you to have the consumer experience so you can see what the skins look like.
Right.
You can match your app accordingly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the phone just doesn't make sense. Any of them, they just don't really make sense other than for fanboys and the 20 people out there that demanded a Galaxy S4 with stock Android.
It's better than nothing, I guess. I mean,
I guess it is.
yeah.
Hey, it's an option, and we'll never hate on options.
Yeah,
right?
we love options. I thought. As
I
Eric,
hate options.
Eric was upset with us last week.
He was.
Yeah, I felt bad. I was oh shit.
Pissed off Eric. He doesn't get mad
Yeah.
very often, but he
No,
was kind
he
of like,
doesn't.
you
Got
guys.
worked up.
He did go
What was that? Hey, you guys.
All right, so anything else you guys want to toss out there in terms of 2013 thoughts in general?
Oh, thoughts in general?
I don't know,
mean,
just-
Kit Kat. You know, it's cool.
I'm just glad that every TV finally has Google TV in it.
Yeah.
Glad that finally happened.
Thank you, Eric Schmidt, for falsely predicting the future.
What about
No,
you know?
and there's
I'm
that.
sure he
Now
was
I
at
know
his
how to
Manhattan
switch.
penthouse or something with a couple
Yeah.
of.
Yeah, and he helped me out because now I know how to switch from an iPhone to an Android phone. So I'm all set. Thanks to Eric.
I was thinking of biggest busts. I mean, to me, another one would be wearables, like the Galaxy Gear. This thing is a freaking bust,
Oh,
man.
I forgot
Like, you
about
can't forget about Galaxy Gear. What a piece.
It's easy to forget about the Galaxy
Well,
Gear. It
exactly.
doesn't work with anything.
Yeah,
You can't even
exactly.
use
Well,
it.
like a lot of wearables, you know, and I mean, and I guarantee, like next year, I am sure Google Glass will launch publicly, and it will totally be a bust because it'll either be priced too high or it's still not going to offer an experience that people want to pay any money for. So any type of wearable, I think we're still a little bit of ways. And Kellen, are you about to whip up glass?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Just
there's
Well,
glass.
threw it out there. I thought I
Yeah.
should pull it out and just hang out for a second.
Hey, it looks great, man.
This looks so awesome.
Yeah, and even the pedal too. I'm still wearing mine, but as time has gone on,
Well,
I really wish they wouldn't have done plastic on the front because as it gets
I'm
worn
sorry,
out, it looks
it's
it's all
bad.
scuffed. and
The
stuff.
pebble
Yeah.
looks disgusting. I think as a watch, it looks terrible.
I think out of the box, I think it looks okay, especially if you get a good watch face on there. I think it
You
looks
and I
fine.
have different tastes.
We do. You like screws on things like a madman.
I
But
like industrial sexiness,
uh,
and you like plastic jank,
no, I don't like plastic.
Plastic
I like clean. I don't want to see screws on there.
clean.
I'm trying to
Yeah.
turn
Oh,
this on, by the way. It's not really.
Yeah, I'm watching you in the thumbnail. It's quite hilarious.
Well, I
Yeah.
thought I turned it off. And it
This
wasn't
just-
really
this just
off.
reminded me of that SNL skit.
And it wasn't really
Oh,
off,
yeah.
and then it got really. And then now it just won't come back on.
I'm just gonna reboot it. It's gonna
Oh, wait, there
rotate
we
my
go.
head.
There we go. There we go.
Frank.
Yeah.
Now
Frank
it's
is
just
such a
like
funny
booting
guy.
up or something.
Oh man.
Now I'm just thinking about all of the like terrible things that happened this year.
That's great. Yeah. So Google Glass
Galaxy
will be a
Gear.
bust. Galaxy Gear total bust. Price.
I'm gonna be-
How much
I'm gonna
was
be
this?
sad.
$350. What the hell?
If glass is a bust, I think I'll be upset about that. I think it's got a lot of potential. We're just not seeing it realized at the moment.
I think
Well, we
it's
got a
going to
big
be in
update.
the hands of developers. It's going to be in the hands of developers to make it, really show
It
a
is
lot
in
of
the hands of
potential.
developers.
That's the
No, you
thing.
know what? No. I'm talking about theoretically, or it's going to be in the hands of developers, as in they will have to carry the torch of glass and show that what apps can do for glass and blah blah blah. That's what I'm saying. Not like it's in the hands physically. God, Ron.
It is in the hands of developers. I mean,
It is in the hands of developers,
Developers
literally,
like me.
and wordly, whatever the hell.
well,
I'm
but I
trying
think
to say.
I mean it doesn't matter though because nobody's gonna wear it.
That's not true.
Oh,
That's
wow.
not true. There's plenty of
I
people
wish
who are
I could
going to
hear
wear
you.
that thing. Once it becomes the
No.
norm,
What
dude. Once
the
it becomes the norm,
I just got a
But that
system
doesn't
not
make any
responding.
sense. Once it becomes the norm, how does it
Oh,
become the
God.
norm?
What is going
you just
on?
have to be the change you wish to see in the world, my friend. So like,
You're just spouting phrases. You're not making an argument.
They're gonna have to do some heavy promotion on it. Is all it's gonna be. They're gonna have to get it in some sort of hit TV property or in a movie or something,
oh yeah.
and then after that it'll take off.
If
Nope.
Glass
I don't know,
was
because-
in
because
Minority
it's so-
Report and Tom Cruise was wearing it, everyone would want it.
Yeah.
I don't think so because it's so nerdy. Like, it's not. It's.
I don't.
it's-
I
So nerdy.
It's
I don't
not
think
as
it's
nerdy
that
as you
nerdy.
think. Yeah, see, I don't find it that nerdy. I think it just looks
Really?
funny. I think
At
it
first
just
glance, it
funny.
looks like a scouter from Dragon Ball Z.
Look at me. Look at me and tell me this is not nerdy.
Yeah,
I don't
There's a
seriously.
giant like metal band across
No.
my forehead.
Even without his
It's
headphones on,
majority.
it would look insanely nerdy.
When the prescription frames come out,
No,
like we saw.
no.
Look at
yes,
this.
Look at this,
They
look at
look
this.
great.
He looks like he's fresh
out
out
of
of
Star
Trek.
I don't
Wearing
think.
glass.
You know
I-
what? And
glass
Star
hole.
Trek has been around for a long time, and I think that's starting.
Next generation has been around for a while. That's true.
Shut up.
I just think it's something that needs to grow on people.
We're gonna
If
fight.
you want to talk about breakout success, though, well, half Android related would be Chromecast.
Yeah, for sure. Somebody mentioned that in the chat, but yes.
Chromecast for sure. That's a big one.
That's one of those devices that Google, I think, has actually sold quite a few of. Obviously, we don't know numbers, but
$35.
yeah, you couldn't buy one of those for months because it was back ordered so far. That,
If
yeah.
you just no doubt, the Chromecast just proves that if you price anything at $35 and give it like a little bit of functionality, people will buy it.
Yeah,
Like it doesn't
that's
matter what it is, as long as it's cheap enough, people are like, "Oh my god, yeah, just throw money at the screen." Like, it's,
Although if you price Google Glass at $100, I would not wear this around.
No.
I call BS. If Google Glass was $100, let's be real, there would be so many
Everybody
people
would buy it.
lining up.
Oh.
Exactly.
Yeah, but
some-
you guys would own it, but you wouldn't wear it. Look at me.
I would wear it.
If it's 100, yeah, I totally.
You know, I think I'm hoping it gets to the point where it augments your other device experiences so much that you just feel like you need to have it. Like, I want to be able to watch a movie and maybe like a tidbit pops up on the glass. Like, you know, I don't have to pull up a phone. Maybe quick it says like, "Hey, did you know when they were filming this scene? Blah blah blah." And then you just go on. You know, I didn't have to. You know,
I don't like
stop.
that at all. I just want to watch the
No,
movie.
it would be like pop-up video while you're in the theater. I think that'd be awesome. I love pop-up video.
The thing for me is it's all about the look of the damn thing. I agree with what you guys are saying. That stuff would be really cool to have.
No, it wouldn't.
Again,
Well, how
look
would
at
you
this.
want
Look
to
at
see
this
the look?
thing.
Would you want to
Look at
see
this.
them have a band around the back instead of a metal band?
Just build a pair of glasses with
Yeah.
this prism built into the lens so you can't tell I'm wearing something
It's-
other than glasses.
There's problems with doing that because the only way you'd either have to have like the screen embedded in the glass somehow, which I don't even know how you do that, or you'd have to shoot it
Right.
at the glass, and the glass is curved, so there's all sorts of issues with how you shoot light on curved.
Well, yeah, like I don't know how you would solve that
Yeah,
problem.
we're
I'm
not-
just saying
yeah,
make it
we're
do
not
that,
saying-
and then I would
I've got
be totally
I've got
fine
a
with that.
friend who works for a company that's trying to do things like that, so he was telling me about like just all the issues of them like trying to figure something out like that, much
Yeah.
less shooting a laser right next to your eye.
You think?
Oh,
we're-
look at.
Mm.
Sorry, I was gonna say, look at where Google is right now, and in comparison to a company like Epson, who has had like a Google Glass-like device
Yeah.
on the market, you know, where people can buy
Where is
for
this?
like 2 years,
Keep going,
and it's like
chat.
the ugliest thing and like the worst thing. Although it has a crap ton of functionality, it does like a virtual reality type thing, and no one wants it just because look at it. So I think in terms of what it looks like, Google was leaps and bounds ahead of the competitors in the wearable tech space.
Look at
I
this
mean,
thing. Yeah.
what's it
There it
called
is.
again? Modded Epson. Oh, Mavaria or whatever.
Bavario.
This is.
Pretty
Look at
Pretty
this.
sure it's just an expansion from Mario.
Look at that,
oh,
but yeah.
oh.
That is on the market, Ron. If you want to buy that,
You can buy that.
You can get it.
How much is it?
So it's like it's on Amazon. I can tell you.
Is it really on Amazon?
Yeah, that's where I saw it.
I'm looking for more pictures.
And
Oh yeah, here we go. This is getting better by the minute. This is fantastic podcast.
I'm getting like
radio,
3
by the
of
way.
these.
So the wearable display from Epson is $466. There's only
Oh.
one left, so you might want to hurry. It has a 2-star out of 5 review.
Look at this guy.
$700 usually, so you might want to hurry and buy that.
He's got like 4 wires. Oh boy.
Oh man.
So needless
Okay.
to say,
That's
Google
the thing,
Glass
though,
looks
like-
really good in comparison.
But that's not good. Like that should never be the metric, right? Like the
I'm
comparison.
trying to turn it on. It's not
That's the future.
No, it's not. There's no way that's the future. If that's the future. I'm
Okay,
putting
so
the
I
future.
think I got the new update, and this thing just doesn't even
What is
work.
going on right now? Like Kellen's having a
trying
stroke.
I'm trying to get because you can tilt your head and it's supposed to.
Please stop.
This thing is just totally gone. Okay, class.
Um,
I don't even know what to do anymore.
Just don't break it, all right?
It's totally like fried, I think.
Oh, great. I was going to come pick that up.
You probably have to send that in anyways, right? Aren't they
No,
like
you-
upgrading everyone?
As I said, okay,
That
glass.
is-
My Moto X like turned
Yeah.
off.
That is the,
VT?
That is the V2.
Gotcha.
This is V2. Oh yeah, it's just totally dead.
All right, good.
We'll deal with that later. Oh, yeah, I got no lights or anything.
I think Google Glass could have looked a lot worse, and aside, I think the only other way you could get any more sleek or out of view would be to have it as a contact. So, I just don't. I think, yeah.
I think there's some like if the functionality was there to where you could make like a compelling argument for why you'd want to wear it despite it not looking cool, like that you could make a decent argument for that. You know, like if it had really cool functionality, like I think we would be talking.
Well, yeah,
the whole tech community would be talking differently about the Galaxy Gear if it had really great functionality. But when the software is bad on top of it, it's a wash.
Can we talk about like the dudes that used to carry around a briefcase because it was a portable phone? You know, because like you had to have a phone that was portable.
There's like 3 people that did that.
Well, obviously tech has more of a reach nowadays, you know, but the idea is that if it does a function, you know, it's not going to be how it looks, you know.
Totes.
Yeah.
I think it's just something that we need to look forward to in 2014 to see where it goes, and also what the retail price is.
I think it's definitely an interesting new technology, that's for sure, and an interesting idea. I think it's just the implementation's got a ways to go, I think. But that's the point of this whole developer version, right? This Explorer thing, which I just fried apparently. But
Oh, stop.
any other parting 2013 shots before we just move on to other random news?
Let's move on.
Okay, let's move on.
God, 2013. I'm so happy you're leaving. That's a good
It was
one.
a good year.
It was good.
2013. All right, so just other sort of site news. CES is in 3 weeks? 3 weeks. 2.5 weeks. It starts on, I believe, the 5th is when Tim and I get there. I believe I touched on this the other week. So, yeah, we get there Sunday, January 5th. We'll be there till January 9th. We've got press events with, like LG, Huawei, Qualcomm, Intel, Samsung, Sony, all the guys, NVIDIA. So, yeah, we'll have all that stuff. Hopefully we get some mobile news this year since we haven't gotten much in the years past, the last couple of years anyway.
No guarantees.
Yeah, but we'll be there doing that whole CES thing. It should be fun. Always fun time, even if there's no news. So.
Oh, it's a great time.
All right, so regular news. Moto X, we kind of talked about this a little bit. It's now available in Bamboo. And it's $100 premium for Bamboo, which they're calling a natural back. No ebony, no teak, no rosewood, just Bamboo. Only got one. And if you buy one now, there is seriously like a 20-day delay or something. And they kind of told us that when it was announced yesterday that it's not like the plastic backs. They can't just whip it up for you and have it out in 4 days. They need some time to get it right.
They need to cut the trees, sand it properly, lacquer. It takes some time. It's a process.
I would actually be interested to see how they're doing this.
I would love to see that, although it's probably like a trade secret type of thing. I mean, it's got to be, right? They can't just...
Yeah.
Here's how we're doing it, so everyone else can do it, type of thing.
Yeah, I would love to see. I wish they would post up. When a lot of times new phones announced, they do like a promo video that shows the manufacturing process. I wish they would do that for these wood ones, just so we could see how it's working.
I think they could do that without revealing how they're doing it.
Yeah, I think so too. I just
like
curious.
that one,
Maybe when I get the one that's coming to me, it's supposed to be here by about the 27th. We'll just tear that thing apart. We'll just see.
Just rip it open.
Yeah,
Good
just
idea.
rip it open, cut up the wood. Yeah. So we asked a poll though, and we're wondering if anyone's actually interested in a wood phone. And
Hell yeah.
what were the results? Well, about 46% said no, they're not interested at all, and then 31% said yes, and another 23% said maybe if there was other choices, probably outside of Bamboo. So I guess you could go about 50-50 there. Most 50% are, 50% aren't. Tim, we know you are. Ron or Dave, you guys interested in a wood type phone? Other material?
I mean, I think it's really slick looking, but I mean, I kind of like my cars without wood interiors in them now, so I don't know if I really want to rock it on a phone.
I have wood in my car, and I like it.
Wood grain?
Come on.
That wasn't even like a perverted thing.
You said you have wood in your car.
I do. Not personally.
You're the only person who's translating it to be dirty.
My car has wood.
Yeah. We get it. Like, I'm getting tired of the whole wood equals boner joke. It's been said so many times now. Damn internet, so
Grow
immature.
up, guys. Yeah.
Yeah, God. I know you're all like 40
I would agree
years
that I
old.
don't want wood paneling on the outside of my car. That's for sure.
You don't want a woody?
Oh, no. Yeah, there you go. Another wood joke, Tim.
Classic stuff.
So
Woody's
no,
great.
Ron, Dave, like the look.
I want it.
You do.
Yeah.
They made a wood iPhone.
Hell yeah.
That'd be great. I did my my wife. I think we were dating when she did this. She bought me a wood case, and we ended up sending it back because it didn't look great. Because you had to open it up so it didn't line up well.
Oh.
Oh. Yes, I like a lot of the wood cases that are available for the iPhones.
They look. If
good.
you want to get a good one, you got to pay a lot of money.
It's
But
worth it.
they look really nice. So I mean, I'd be very much interested in a. I think we've seen a lot of stuff with plastics and things like that, and aluminum, and I think wood is I think it looks nice. I think it looks classy. That shot that they had, we had a post up with it, but where the guy's on a bike holding the wood.
Looks good, right?
Yeah, whenever I see, especially that wood with the white accent around it, I just think that looks really, really nice and classy. So, and I think like I love seeing pictures of phones with whenever we'll have like a phone like on top of a table or something like that, with wood behind it. I just think it matches really well to sort of have wood on the actual device. I think it looks good.
Yeah, the version I ordered, I went white front too, so it matches that whole white sort of surrounding. Because the other Moto X's I've ordered all have black fronts, but the white to match that, it looks nice.
All the other Moto X's you've ordered.
That does sound kind of weird, right?
I think I need to see it in person before I really make an ultimate decision on it.
All right, well, I'll have it in December 27th. I'll fly to New York and we'll just take a look.
Okay, yeah, sounds good. Bring Tim.
Yeah.
All right. I just want to touch on this. Well, we could do it quickly or dive into it if we want. But the FCC and the big 5 carriers in the U.S. apparently agreed on the whole unlocking of phones thing, and it got a lot of press. And people said, yeah, they've come to an agreement. I don't think anyone actually read what the agreement was, because the agreement doesn't do anything for consumers other than they have to now disclose their policy for unlocking phones. So a little background. A few months ago, or was it the beginning of the year, the Librarian of Congress changed some policy because of heavy lobbying, essentially from the CTIA, which is sort of like the governing body of wireless industry, I guess you could say, that they said they wanted unlocking to be illegal, basically. And so it became illegal unless the carriers, I guess it was basically like carriers needed to approve your unlocked phone type of thing. You couldn't go buy like an unlock code from a third-party outlet or something like that, unlock your phone, or you had to basically do it officially through a carrier. At least that was my sort of understanding of it. Anyways, we're now to the point where the carriers and the FCC have come to some sort of agreement, but they didn't necessarily change any of the way it works. Essentially how it works now is the carriers have to tell you what their policy is and make that readily available on their website, and you still have to go through them to get it unlocked, and they can deny it if they want to. And it's really kind of this sort of wishy-washy thing where nothing really changed other than they have to sort of acknowledge that they have policies, if that makes sense. I don't know if you guys have followed this at all. It got a whole bunch of press early on, and then this last week it got more because they came to an agreement, but their agreement, to me, at least I read into it, was nothing. So I don't know if you guys want to touch on any of that or not. Ron looks like he's researching.
No, it just sounds like more of the same sensationalism journalism. Sensational journalism? There we go.
Yeah, and by the way, this has nothing to do with bootloaders.
Hey, it never does. Yeah, I don't. I love how people make that connection.
Yeah, typically when we say unlocking, I know we talk a lot about rooting and all that stuff, but if we say unlocking and we're talking bootloaders, we'll say bootloader. Otherwise, when you're talking unlock, you're talking SIM unlocked phones and stuff.
I think the only discrepancy was I don't think the Librarian of Congress decided it was illegal. I think something expired or something. I'm trying to look up. It's something with the DMCA, but I can't remember.
Yeah, so it has to do with DMCA, and they basically said also that they were just doing their job, which had to do with the software on the phone because there's copyrights around the software, and so they just made it illegal. And so there was this whole big thing. But the big thing was the CTIA, which is kind of like the governing group over the sort of carriers. They were this big push towards they don't think anyone should be able to unlock their phones. And so they were the big deal because unlocking phones, people buy them in bulk, right, and send them overseas, and there's this whole sort of like underground market. And the CTIA and all these wireless carriers got together and said, we want that eliminated. And the Librarian of Congress said, okay, that makes sense, and there's copyright stuff here, so let's just go ahead and make it illegal. And then it kind of blew up kind of crazy.
Yeah, apparently there are exceptions in 2006 and 2010. So if you haven't looked up stuff about the DMCA, if you're not familiar with that and you use technology at all, then you guys should research it because it's kind of a interesting law that I think came through in '98. So, but it has dramatic impact on digital media. So
It's like the Napster law or something.
it came out of that, and companies like Google doing weird things like trying to copy all the books in the world and things like that. There's all sorts of
Oh.
weird issues with that, trying to decide how you deal with copyright, and specifically how you deal with copyright with software and things like that, because it's not a physical product.
Oh, right. So anyways, just wanted to toss it out there so you guys are aware. We're talking about SIM unlocking. So if you buy a phone, you want to take it to another carrier, you still have to go through your carrier basically to get it unlocked. Now, we should point out that Verizon has basically left their phones unlocked for some time, and they have to, I believe, because of their LTE deal with FCC, they have to leave their phones. So you can actually buy a Verizon phone, like the Galaxy S4 or something like that, and it will work on most GSM carriers. Like you can put an AT&T SIM in there and get HSPA, so you can get service and things like that. You can't get LTE, but you can get HSPA. But like AT&T, if you buy a phone through them, you have to wait till your contract's up, and then they'll unlock it, or buy it outright, and then they'll unlock it. You can't just like go through some sort of third party and get it unlocked. So nothing's really changed.
No. And it still is mostly irrelevant, because if you did want to switch carriers, like if you're on Verizon, you can't really switch to anybody. So like,
right,
it doesn't, it's kind of because of the state of the industry in terms of carriers in the United States, it's really kind of the law doesn't really matter unless you're on T-Mobile or AT&T, and even in that case, you may not get full service depending on the phone.
Right. So basically, if you want to jump carriers, you should just find an unlocked phone, like the Nexus 5 or something, and make sure it works on both carriers, and then have a party.
Check those radios.
Yep. All right. We sort of do this a couple times a year. We ask people if they're rooted and non-rooted, and we ran this poll Monday, and it's essentially split down the middle. So back when we first got this site started, it was I wish we had a link to one of those polls, but I would say it was probably 75% rooted, 25% non-rooted, and over the last couple of years, that's just gone down and down and down, that rooted percentage. And for the first day, it was essentially split right down the middle. Now it looks like rooted is 51%, non-rooted is 49%, but 10,000 votes or almost 11,000 votes, and it's split almost right down the middle, which is kind of crazy, but also not that surprising. I think, Tim, you've mentioned that there's just not necessarily the need anymore to root, just because phones are so good now.
Yeah, I mean, Android has really matured. I think, it used to suck. And you'd have to have and all these devices were really just sort of, lacking in power. So any device you had, you're like, okay, I got to overclock the processor to at least speed the thing up, and blah blah blah. Skins were a lot crappier back then, so you'd want to get the stock Android feel, or at least a different feel than whatever carrier or OEM skin was on there. So like Sense or TouchWiz, you'd want to replace that ASAP with a custom ROM. So the way I see it is that a lot of that stuff is kind of unnecessary these days. Sure, there's a lot of the the way you can back up app data and transfer that to devices. There's still some really good reasons to have root, and but not I, said the mouse. I just it's not for me anymore. So
you know why my Nexus 5 is rooted? So that when I get updates to apps like Gmail and stuff, I can pull them and put them up for download because of staged rollouts. I know that's a terrible reason, but that's the reason my Nexus 5 is rooted, because staged rollouts are terrible for sites like us, because the whole point of a new update is to have everyone get it and talk about it. Totally. And with staged rollouts, we can't do that. So.
And I think another big reason too, back in the day, like if you were on an older version of Android, you couldn't necessarily get the most up-to-date apps, especially Google apps. That was another big reason to root and ROM, so you could be on the latest version and get those apps.
Yeah, you can Wi-Fi tether for free, if you're a pirate. Or,
if you use PDA-Net, if such a thing existed.
Yeah, exactly. There's tons of stuff, and then also, I was going to say,
remember the big hubbub about Verizon supposedly they were going to be cracking down on that, getting everybody that was using it.
Yeah, that didn't happen.
Nope.
Yeah. Kellen, why are you rooted to just extract APKs? Is that what you were saying, that you root me so you can extract APKs, even though you don't have to be rooted to do that?
Well, you would have to use ADB commands if you wasn't rooted. I don't want to do that.
Does he look like an animal?
No, you don't even need to use ADB command. There's apps that just extract APKs these days, and you can just share them right from your storage. I don't know if you knew this.
I seriously did not know that.
All right, I will send you a link.
Do you even run an Android site? How do you
sounds
know
like
that?
really illegal.
Illegal?
No.
No.
Free apps are a lot easier to get to.
Here, I'll link
That
you
sounds
right
like straight pirated website stuff.
now. Dude, how do you think you remember you asked me to extract some APK, and it was not a paid app, it was a free app, it was just I had the update or something like that?
Yes.
Either way.
I just assumed you were rooted. I'm trying to at least do this like the legitimate way. I guess I'm still pulling APKs, but
yeah, it's on Google Play and all that. It's been there forever. I mean,
Unlike CyanogenMod.
Exactly. Here you go. I linked it for you, and I'll link it in the chat too, in case anyone else wants to rip some APKs. Not that
you
we
gotta
can
be kidding me. Like, I've never seen this app in my life. How old is this thing?
It looks
really old?
very.
Oh,
it
it
looks
looks
gingerbread
super old.
days.
Yeah.
Okay, I remember this app. Yeah, I
and
guess
it
I just completely forgot about it. Assumed it was broken long ago or something.
No, it totally works. It's
It
awesome.
still works, really?
It's awesome. I love it.
It won't work on a paid app.
Yeah, I haven't tried on a paid app yet. So.
Okay, I do remember this app.
It was
All right,
last
I guess I just
updated in
completely
February
forgot.
of 2013,
That's what it says, yeah. And that was probably the first update in like 2 years.
right?
Yeah.
Like, look at that UI.
Okay.
Well,
I do. Okay, I do
might not have
remember this
updated the
now.
screenshots.
If it works, there's no reason to fix it, or anything like that, or change
I mean,
it, and
yeah,
it totally
there is.
works.
Bring it up
I
to
do
the
remember this.
design.
But yeah, I
guidelines.
rooted my Nexus 5
It's
just so I
free
could
app, Dave.
go in and grab it.
You know what? The screenshots are not representative because it has an action bar.
Okay.
I just used it on a KitKat device, and it was awesome the other week. So
Hey,
there's.
can one of you
I
guys
just
pull the
wanted to throw
APK from for that app and send it over to me?
Seriously.
Yeah, you want the APK for APK extractor? I can extract it.
By the way, it works because I just did it. I extracted the APK extractor APK.
Sweet.
Yes.
You extracted it while you were running it.
Yeah. Right inside.
Extractception.
Google.
So, rooted, non-rooted. Yeah, there's just less and less reason to, unless you just really love to tinker with your phone. You love that whole ROM scene, which is still huge, by the way. There's
Oh yeah.
like people talk to
Huge
us all the
and
time about how
problematic.
we don't. Yeah, I mean, there's still
Huge and problematic.
So I think the issues are still there that have always been there and will always be there. But if you like to do that stuff, there's still a massive scene over at XDA. So.
Those are the days. And
Yeah,
RootsWiki, depending on your device.
Is RootsWiki? They're still around.
Yeah,
think
they're
so.
around. It's not as
Not as
populated
big.
as XDA.
Well, yeah, and when it came out, and for a while afterwards, it depended on the kind of device. A lot of times there were devs that were just on RootsWiki that weren't on XDA.
Yeah, I mean, I used to go there a lot. I just thought it had sort of died over the last year, but it's still there. It's just not as popular or something because it was pretty popular for a while.
Yeah,
Maybe
it
it's
was.
still growing. Well, that's good to know.
Heck yeah.
XDA is just such a massive monster that I don't know
Yeah.
how anyone can compete with it.
I get lost in there.
Yeah, I definitely do too. All right, so rooted, non-rooted, yeah, we're most of us just kind of agree that you don't necessarily have to root anymore unless you're really like the ROM flashing kind of guy. Real quick updates. There's been a whole bunch of updates in the last week for phones, like the one on Verizon, Galaxy S3 on Verizon, both have 4.3 now. The Droids, the Max Ultra Mini, have a soak test coming, which we're just assuming is KitKat. And the soak test invites, I believe, went out either Sunday or Monday, so I'm surprised that hasn't started. I sort of figured that update would be rolling out now, but soon. And so, yeah, all your new Droid phones, you'll have KitKat on those, which is awesome. Motorola doing good things there. It's kind of interesting to think, actually, that the Droids, the Moto X, they have KitKat, and obviously it's easy because they have stock Android, but like the one, the Galaxy S3 and Galaxy S4 and all that stuff are just now getting 4.3, not KitKat whatsoever. So, I wonder when that's going to happen. Next year sometime.
Also, still no Nexus 7 on Verizon, right?
Well, yeah, no, they still haven't approved it or something.
They're just waiting for KitKat, though.
I thought they were launching their own tablet
That's right,
first,
they were.
and then they were going to put Nexus 7 out.
I just don't think Verizon cares whatsoever. They probably had 10 people try to activate that, and one of them happened to be Jeff Jarvis, who took to the internet to complain about it. Like, I did nothing against Jeff Jarvis. I'm just saying, like, I don't know that was really that big of a story. We didn't have one email or anything from any of our readers that said, "Hey guys, I took my Nexus 7 LTE to Verizon. They wouldn't activate it. This is a huge deal." Like no one really cared, but it made headlines everywhere. And again, there's like 10 people.
Net neutrality, guys.
Yes, and that stuff because it makes great headlines.
Because nobody wants
really
to
cares.
pay the absorbent amounts of money that Verizon wants you to pay for like a device.
Well, that's true too. But and there's been a workaround from day one. All you had to do is give them an IMEI from another tablet. You could go into a store and grab one and just hand it to them. Like, I think we talked about it. You could just grab like a ghost IMEI and hand it to them, and they would activate it, and that would be fine. Like you could do that. You could do that from the day one, and everyone still made a giant deal out of it. So I don't know. Whatever. I could rant about that for a while. But anyways, apps and games. Unless you guys have other topics you want to throw out. No. Nothing? Okay. Apps and games. I just want to talk about Press real quick, which is an RSS reader, kind of a dinosaur. Press got a big update today. I think we've talked about it in the past. It's a really, really nice, well-done RSS reader. It's basically that and Feedly for me anyway. Those are the two I kind of jump between. And Press got a big update today with a dark theme and some new gesture stuff. Ron, you're a big fan of Mailbox and those swiping gestures. So Press now does that. Like you swipe a little bit and you get some options. Swipe more, you get more options. It's actually really well done. So Press, it's a $2.99 though, so it's not a free app or anything like that. But if you're an RSS person and you want a really nice RSS reader, it's $2.99.
And you've got tons of money. It's $3.
Oh my God, cheap Android. So yeah, that's my app.
Can you pull the APK for that for me?
Apparently, APK extractor from 2007 does not work on beta.
From 2007.
Yeah, I tried pulling pirates just to make sure, and it does not work.
Android did not exist in 2007.
Yeah.
I'm sure it did in some form.
Yeah,
Andy Rubin and his robots.
Andy Rubin had running out of
his robot lovers.
Love you, Andy Rubin.
Yeah.
The robots. What are you
Rube.
doing with them?
Oh man! All right, well. This week I have Sonic the Hedgehog 2 for Android portable devices. It's a sequel to Sonic the Hedgehog.
The introduction of Tails,
what?
my boy.
Yeah. Sorry, what, Ron?
I can't believe it's a sequel. They made another one?
Yeah. This is Dose. And Sonic the Hedgehog, probably one of my favorite games for like Sega Genesis and all that. I grew up playing that stuff. And Sonic the Hedgehog 2. It was like for some reason a little bit out of my league, I think, as a child, just because it seemed a lot harder to me. It seemed more involved because there was like the racing with the loops and.
Oh, so good though.
Yeah. Oh no, it was great. But I was like, I was like 8. So,
yeah.
So I wasn't really.
The fact that you could plug in the second controller to be Tails and Tails can die and it doesn't matter, like.
No, yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah, and Tails can fly, so it was definitely like a whole other aspect. There was like a new dimension up, like
great.
that I wasn't able to really get.
And
but either way, oh my God, okay, do you want to talk about the game or?
No, I was just gonna say I don't remember how my brother and I figured out that we could do that because the internet didn't really exist, so.
Oh.
I don't know how we would have figured that out, but we did.
Well, I'm glad you did.
Tails is so awesome. I love that game so much.
Yeah,
I was a Genesis guy, by the way. I was an SNES guy.
Screw SNES.
Genesis, 16-bit all the way. So yeah, Knuckles was my favorite. I'll just throw that out. So the second one is out. It's been optimized for mobile. It's fantastic, just as good. It plays just as good as the first one, especially like if you have Shield Bust of the Year. If you have one of those, it works. It works great. It's $2.99, I want to say. Oh man, worth every penny though. And what's great about this one is on the first one that was released for Android, you had to beat the game using Sonic and then Tails if you wanted to unlock the next character. This one, you don't have to beat them at all. You can just play as any character you want. So you can auto play as Tails or auto play as Knuckles, and it's totally awesome. And thank you, Sega, and go pick it up on Google Play.
How much was it again?
$2.99.
Oh, that's not bad.
No, it's like I said, worth every penny, and especially if you have like a Shield or anything like a big display where you can really mash on those buttons. I will link it. There you go, everybody.
It'd be awesome if they could figure out some way to at least do local multiplayer, so you could have somebody play as Tails while you're playing as Sonic.
No, there's an online multiplayer. Kellen, I was actually
What?
going to. Yeah, I was going to invite Kellen, but
What?
I keep forgetting. We could totally race against each other and all that stuff.
Whoa,
dude.
whoa, whoa, what about
I don't want to
like,
race.
regular
I just want to
game?
be Tails while you're
Yeah.
running around dominating a
Yeah,
song.
I want that. That's not. Come on.
No, I don't know if I haven't tried. All right, maybe I'll try it. Kellen, do you have the game?
No.
I've got it. It's on
I
iOS.
remember I wrote it up and he was like, that was like my favorite game. I love Tails.
Look, here it is.
And he doesn't.
Look at the
Oh, well,
shield and
open the
case
damn
and
thing up.
everything. The battery's probably dead, and I haven't touched it in like a week.
Oh yeah. Well, that's all right. So Sonic
I
2,
love it though.
it's great. 2-player versus. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all I'm seeing.
That's all I'm seeing too.
That's no fun. All right, Dave, what do you got? You got an app?
Yeah, I'm gonna let my little nerd side come out for the for Doctor Who. So there's Doctor Who Legacy, just a fun little game. If you're a fan of the series, it's got unlockables, all the characters you're familiar with from the TV series. It's like for the game style, it's like a 3, where you match 3 and then it takes those out of the game block. So you have all different color orbs. I put 3 pink together, they disappear. But the idea here is instead of you only being able to swap 2 that are next to each other, you can actually like relocate it on the board and everything swaps behind it. So you can actually set up like multi-combination solutions. So I can like have it so when this one drops, it's going to connect these, and you can actually make it work in your favor for combinations. It's a fun little time waster. There's no time limits. It's not like Candy Crush where you're like stuck. You can just keep playing. It's a good time waster. And if you're a fan of Doctor Who, the graphics and the music are familiar to the series.
Candy Crush. Don't get me started on that crap.
Stop playing that now.
I've been stuck on the same level for 2 weeks. I'm a crack fiend on that game right now. It's pissing me off, man. I'm just.
You gotta kill the habit. You'll feel a lot better about yourself if you do.
I had still never installed it. I'm never going to.
Just
Me
chasing the dragon. I'll never catch him. It sucks.
Chasing the dragon. I don't even know what that means, but it sounds awesome.
It's a heroin reference, but it has to do with Candy Crush. So there's that.
It's a heroin weapon.
Digital heroin. So I don't have anything else.
2013 in the books.
Yeah, that's the end of 2013.
New opinion article coming. Finally.
Oh, yeah, tomorrow. Everyone be on the lookout.
Oh yeah,
We can't-
Ron,
we
back in
can't
the
miss
building
it.
tomorrow.
Could take
Yeah,
up the
you
whole front page if we didn't put a more break in there. So it's great.
Get ready to leave a comment.
Yeah, Ron
even
feature
read
coming
it.
tomorrow.
Leave a comment.
In case you're wondering, we're here obviously all this week. The Christmas mid next week, so we'll probably have a day or so where no one will be around. Same thing with New Year's Day, we won't be around that day. But otherwise, we're around. So obviously, hang out with us. We love you guys, Droid Life Readers.
Oh my god, I have to steal this guy's code he just put in the chat. Gotta have that Google Play credit.
Jesus.
People are very nice.
Motorola is now assembling my Moto X. This thing's going to be here way before the 27th. I might have it by like Monday.
Nice.
Unless it takes a week or 2 weeks to build wood.
Well, we were worried because it said might come when we were going to be in Vegas.
They
Yeah,
gotta
well,
grow. They gotta
Give me an
grow the
update
tree.
today.
So
Yeah.
you gotta
Yeah, they're
grow
growing it in the backyard. Bamboo is super easy to grow. There's
It
growing
totally is.
bamboo.
Grows like a weed. You kidding me?
It does grow
Ridiculous.
like a weed. Yeah. All right. That's all I got. I don't want to keep rambling.
All right.
Any last final? It's not like we're disappearing for the year.
No.
We're still like the site's
We're-
still living.
Yeah, we're here.
This is it for Droid Life Forever.
We're checking out for the next like 2 weeks.
Sites changing the droid death.
Droid. No, just thanks for joining us week in and week out. Even though we miss a few weeks, it's been a lot of fun just chatting with you guys. Ron, you especially. I love BSing with you. that was close.
Yeah, so 2014 should be fun. That is going to be another good year. We're going to see HTC finally fail and Samsung sell 30 million more devices in a quarter and a half, and Moto X hopefully with a 1080p display that doesn't yellow.
Yeah,
Should be great. All right, we'll just cut it off there. Thanks for joining us. Episode 45, 2013 over with. Peace.
Peace.